The Michigan House yesterday passed a new set of regulations for abortions in that state. The bill would make it more difficult to offer this constitutionally protected medical care to women in Michigan. It expands the state's existing regulations to include far more clinics. It also, and this is going to get a little bit tough for a second, so bear with me, it also requires that in some cases doctors would need to file a fetal death report. People who track bills like this one say the provision is common in anti-abortion legislation. What's really strange in this bill, they say, is a requirement that if the woman has been pregnant for 10 or more weeks, doctors would have to make what amounts to funeral arrangements for the, quote, fetal remains. The measure passed largely on party lines. All the Republicans voted for it, along with 6 Democrats. And the debate yesterday got a little heated, perhaps as you'd expect, and it went like this. Here's Republican Ray Franz.
While listening to testimony, I was taken aback by one of the speakers for the opposition. I think he was a doctor that posited that the early stages of pregnancy were merely tadpole-like creations or creatures. Really? Tadpole-like creatures?
Opponents of the bill, all of them Democrats, also spoke up. Representative Rashida Tlaib made headlines everywhere with this.
I am disappointed, Mr. Speaker, that we are launching a war on women today while doing nothing to launch a war on poverty. In that case, stop having sex with us, gentlemen. Find somebody else to do it with. Seriously, I ask women across Michigan to boycott men until these bills stop moving out of the House. Oppose this bill for the love of your wives, for the love of your daughters, and for the love of mothers. Thank you so much.
The Michigan press called this next argument feisty. This is Democrat Lisa Brown.
I have not asked you to adopt and adhere to my religious beliefs. Why are you asking me to adopt yours? And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'm flattered that you're all so interested in my vagina, but no means no.
Members, I do ask that you respect the decorum of the House. This is an emotional issue for all of us.
Don't talk that way around here, Speaker is saying. In addition to their testimony, Democrats also introduced a series of amendments designed to make the point that the state would be claiming a role in governing women's medical decisions in a way that it does not claim a role in governing men's medical decisions. One amendment would require a full exam before a man could get a prescription for a drug like Viagra, for instance. Another would stop doctors from performing a vasectomy unless the patient is in the throes of a medical emergency or his life is at risk. For the most part, the Republican speaker gavelled away the amendments the way Republicans say Democrats did when Democrats controlled the chamber. When the speaker gavelled away that particular vasectomy amendment, this is what it looked like.
Representative Byram offers one amendment identified as Amendment 2I.
The question before the House is on the adoption of Amendment 2I. The clerk will open the board. Members may vote at their desks. The amendment is not adopted. Are there further amendments? Are there... Representative, you are out of order. Would the clerk please read in the next amendment?
It's a little hard to tell from that tape exactly what is happening. Ms. Byram never had a microphone, but it's clear today how Republicans responded. They told 2 of those 3 Democratic women you just watched. Republicans told 2 of them they would not be allowed to speak today on the House floor. MLive.com published this statement from the Speaker's office. Quote, "It is the responsibility of the Majority Floor Leader, the presiding officer, and every representative to maintain the decorum of the House. Majority Floor Leader Jim Stamas has informed Minority Floor Leader Siegel that Representatives Brown and Byram will not be recognized to speak on the House floor today after being gavelled down for their comments and actions yesterday that failed to maintain the decorum of the House of Representatives." When we asked the Speaker's office for more detail, they told us Representative Byram, the Democrat with that vasectomy amendment, was, quote, "gavelled down yesterday for marching through the chamber and shouting like a small child throwing a temper tantrum. Representative Brown was gavelled down yesterday not for words used in her comments, but the context in which she used them. Like in an abortion debate, you mean, or heatedly, or bringing up sex in a discussion of women's reproductive rights because that just makes people uncomfortable? Republicans told us women were censured because of their actions. It had nothing to do with gender, religion, or even the topic before the chamber. The Speaker's office also told us that Democrats almost never let them talk when the Democrats were in control. They said it was a matter of professionalism and courtesy for the Republican floor leader to proactively tell the Democrats that the two women would have to be quiet today. One of these silenced lawmakers, Mrs. Byram, told us that she could not possibly have marched through the chamber because she hurt her knee in a race last week, but that she did raise her voice to be heard, which is hardly unheard of in legislative chambers. As for the lawmaker who thanked the chamber for the interest in her nethers, but no means no, she joins us now so we can ask her ourselves. Joining me now, Lisa Brown, Michigan State Representative. Representative Brown, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Ezra.
Republicans say you were censured today not for your words, but for the context in which you said them. Have they elaborated on that to you? What exactly does that mean?
You know, I wish I could tell you. I did not have one member of Republican leadership come up and speak to me today. I heard from my own leadership that I was being banned from speaking on the floor. I wasn't told why. I wasn't told for how long. I wish I could tell you more, but I just frankly don't know.
What was the broad point you were making yesterday on the House floor?
Well, I was trying to make a few points. The bill covered a lot of issues, and I think that the government has no business being in my private business. And, you know, frankly, using the word vagina, that's what this legislation is regulating. And it is the medically, anatomically correct word to use. In fact, it's in our Michigan statute on 3 different occasions.
What have you heard from your constituents about this matter? What do they think about the legislation broadly and about how you've been banned for speaking out on the floor?
I have had support not just from my constituents, but really from across the country. And I've had people go to Act Blue and give money to support me on my Act Blue page. We've heard from people from California to Chicago, all across the country, cheering me on and thanking me for being a voice for women.
So do you know how long the punishment, so to speak, is intended to last? Can you talk on the floor tomorrow, a week from now? When does timeout end?
Well, today was actually our last day for summer break. We meet again in another month. I don't know what will happen when we come back in July. Because today was the last day before break, we took up a great number of bills, many of which I wanted to speak to. In fact, that was how I found out in the first place. The first bill that we took up this morning at 10 a.m., I was planning on speaking out on, and it had to do with teacher retirement. And that's when I found out from Democratic floor leader that I had been banned from speaking on the floor.
And so the Republicans in your state say this is to some degree tit for tat. The Democrats did not let Republicans talk when you were in the majority. Is that correct? Is this just relations have simply broken down there?
No, that's not correct. And, you know, everything I did today was, or yesterday rather, was according to the rules. I was called on by the Speaker of the House. I was speaking to the bill. And I followed the House rules. So being punished today, I had no idea why. I still have no idea why.
The bill goes into effect in September, as I understand it. Is there anything more that House Democrats are going to be able to do or going to try to do to stop it?
Well, the bill still needs to go to the Senate, and they said that they're going to be taking it up in September. So there's still time to fight this bill, to request that this bill go away and never show its ugly head again. So the fight is not over.
Michigan State Representative Lisa Brown, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Cinderella, meet Caddyshack. The best new thing in the world, next.